My name is Vipin Kumar, Physics PGT, Jawahar Vidyalaya, Horpet, Yadgir. Today we are going to look about the chapter Electricity of the 10th class. In this part we are going to see about the what is electric current, electric potential and potential difference and Ohm's law. Okay. Now all the things which we are going every day is the electricity. Okay, and just consider as a rate of flow of charges. Okay, now the rate. Now what is the rate? Anything divided by the time is called as the rate, and this flow of charges. Now the big question is what is the charges? Okay, now the charges, there are two types of charges, that is positive charges and negative charges. Of any metals or any atoms acquiring positive or negative charges depends upon the electrons present in the atoms. Okay, for that we have to study about the structure of the atoms, in which how many electrons are there, how many protons are there, and how can metals or atoms acquire some positive or negative charges. From the structure of the atom, we know that in the center part we have the nucleus and orbits are there around it. Okay, the center part is nucleus, the surrounding part is the orbit in which electrons are revolving. Okay, now in this case, when the starting the atoms are electrically, this atom is electrically neutral. In starting, the atoms are electrically neutral. They are electrically neutral because there is no charge on it. Okay, why? You can see that in the number of in the nucleus, what is there? Proton is there and neutron is there. Proton is positive charge and neutron have no charge, and electrons having a negative charge. From the Coulombic force, we know that positive charge and negative charge means unlike charges attract each other. For that, this electron will be attracted towards the nucleus, and that's why the electrons are revolving in the orbit. It's like a nucleus as the sun and electrons as the planet. Okay. Now the main part is that the number of proton is always equal to number of electron. That is, number of proton is equal to the number of electron. That's why the atoms are electrically neutral. Now just consider, as the number of orbit increases, the attraction between electron and nucleus decreases. Okay, as the distance increases, the attraction force also decreases. Just consider another orbit is there, and in that orbit electron is there, one electron is there. This electron will be less attracted towards the nucleus because distance is more than this orbit. Okay, here now next part is that the electron which is present in the outermost orbit is called as valence electron. It is called as valence electron. These electrons are loosely bound with the nucleus, which can easily jump from the orbit, from one orbit to the another orbit. Okay, now in this consider we are giving some energy to the atom. In that case, this valence electron will jump out from this orbit. This electron will be jumping out from this orbit. Now in this case, the number of proton and number of neutrons, so number of protons and number of electrons are not equal. In this case, you can see if the number of electrons is decreased. Now consider that there is 10 number starting, there is 10 number of proton and 10 number of electron is there. By acquiring some energy, this electron will jump from this orbit to the another orbit, this valence electron. Now in this case you can see the number of proton is 10, but number of electron is 9. So this atom acquires positive charges, because number of dominating charges is proton positive. That's why this atom will acquire a positive charge. In the same case, if the electron is acquired by the atom, in that case another electron is coming from the another atom and it is entered into this orbit. Now the number of proton will be less and number of electron will be more. So this is called as negatively charged. Now the atom is negatively charged because it acquired one electron extra greater than the proton. So this atom is having some charges. So the flow of charges means the flow of electron creates the electric current. Okay. The flow of charges in bracket means the flow of electron creates the electricity, and in the previous cases it was considered that the flow of positive charges create the electricity, but rather than it was discovered that due to the flow of electron there is flow of current. Okay, clear? This is the basic thing, that is charges. Now we have two types of charges, positive charges and negative charges. Positively charged means it having a number of proton greater than number of electron. Now if it is negatively charged, it is having a more number of electron than the proton. Okay, and this valence electron is responsible for the flow of current. Okay, because the valence electrons are loosely bound with the nucleus, so that it can jump from easily from one orbit to the another orbit. If you take the example of the copper, if you are taking the example of the copper, you know that this number is 29. Cu 29. So its atomic configuration will be 2, 8, 18 and 1. This one electron is called as last shell orbit, is called as valence electron, and this will be easily jumping out from the orbit and it will create a flow of charges, and this flow of charges means flow of electron creates the electric current. Okay, clear? What is the flow of charges and what is electric current? Now we are taking for the flow of charges, we are considering about the metals only. Okay, metals, because metals are good conductors, of electricity. The reason is the valence electron which is present in the last orbit, and it is also called as free electron. In metals, the free electrons are easily available. That's why we can create the electricity. Okay, clear? What is the charges? Positive charges, negative charges, and free electrons and valence electron. Valence electron means the electron which is present in the last orbit of the atom. That is valence electron. Now we will see what is the charge and per unit time. You can see that it is called as rate of flow of charges. There is the flow of charges. Now that is charge per unit time. If you are considering, if you are having an atom, just consider we are having a wire. Just consider we are having a wire, copper wire. This copper wire is made up of the small tiny atoms. Number of atoms will come together and get a copper wire. Just consider this will be like a, this is the atoms present in the copper wire. These are the atoms present in the copper wire. In this also the electrons last orbit, valence electron is present. This is called as free electron. So this free electron will be easily jumping from one orbit to the another orbit. So it is called as how many charges are flowing per unit time. In 1 second, how many charges are flowing. So we will write as I is equal to charges. In this case, for electron we are putting as Q and time for T. Okay. Now one charge having the one, consider it as a one charge and is having the coulomb. Its SI unit is coulomb. Yes, the SI unit is coulomb, and the time is measured in second. So we can write as coulomb per second. This is the SI unit of the current. In this case, now I is Q. We are taking the Q. We are taking only Q. We are taking the total number of charges flowing per unit time. The number of electrons are flowing through this wire. So we can consider that we are taking the total number of charges flowing per unit time. We are not considering about the one electron. We are considering total number of charges flowing per unit time. That is called as current. Okay. Now another, it is the SI unit, and for another unit is for the current, it is called as ampere. This ampere. For the scientist Andrew Ampere, for his contribution to the electricity and physics, for the honor we are taking it as a current ampere as the SI unit. Okay, so how can we define 1 ampere? 1 ampere. 1 ampere means 1 coulomb by 1 second. So how can we define? When 1 coulomb of charge is passing through the wire in 1 second, that is called as 1 ampere. 1 ampere means 1 coulomb passing through a wire in 1 second. That is called as 1 ampere. Okay, clear? Now we see. Now we are seeing that number of electrons are flowing. Number of electrons are flowing. We are taking as a total charges. Okay. Now we have to find that how many electrons are flowing in the 1 coulomb. In that wire, how many electrons are flowing in that wire? So there is a formula. We can say that 1 coulomb is equal to 1 charge. We can consider Q is equal to number of electrons. Okay, so Q is equal to 1 coulomb. From this we can find number of electrons. So we can write number of electrons. Number of electrons is equal to Q by E. That is Q by E is equal to 1 coulomb by the charge of electron is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Okay, now after dividing by this, we get that 6. After dividing this, we get that 6.85 electrons. This is the number of electrons flowing in a 1 coulomb of charges. Okay, clear? Means we are taking the total number of electrons flowing through the per unit time, and we are finding how many electrons are flowing. The electrons is 6.85 electrons are flowing in 1 second. Here, this is all about the electric current. Now, in electric current means is produced as the positive or negative charge, and current means is called as we know the current, air current or water current. Current means flow. Okay, current means flow. Clear? Now, to flow of the charges from one point to the another point, we have to create some potential difference. We have to apply some force to the flow of charges from one point to the another point. So we have to create some electric potential or potential difference so that it can flow from one point to the another point. So we have to consider about electric potential and potential difference. Is it clear till now? Okay. Now let's see what is electric potential and potential difference. we will compare with the water analog. In that we will consider two water tanks in which water is filled and it is interconnected by a valve. Now in this case there is no difference between the height. The two tanks are having the same height. There will be no flow of the water from one side to the another side. In next case we will take one tank having some height and it is connected with some another water tank and it is having some height distance. Now in this case the water will be flowing from tank 1 to tank 2 because there is the difference in the height. Okay, now there is a difference in height from one tank to the another tank, so that the water is flowing from tank 1 to the tank 2. Same thing we are going to apply in the electric potential also. We are just here also there is a potential difference. For anything having potential means it is having some difference, means the having some, it can be considered as the high potential and it is considered as the low potential. Means water is flowing from high potential to low potential. In that case also we will now consider for the electric potential. In this case we will use the battery to create the electric potential difference. Let us consider as a battery. In this case one side is positive and one side is negative. Inside the battery there is some chemical reactions going on. That chemical reaction can be understood by using electrolysis. In that case two electrodes are there. Two electrodes are there, due to which one side creates a positive charge and another side creates a negative charge. Okay, now when this battery is connected with any circuit, it will create now a potential difference, because you can see it is having potential difference positive and negative. We can consider positive as high potential and negative as the low potential. Negative as the low potential. Okay, then now we have to consider what is now electric potential. Electric potential means the difference in the potential. It can be positive and negative, high potential and low potential. Okay, now we are considering a battery with a circuit, how it will create a potential difference. You can see. Just consider I am taking a small circuit. I am taking a resistance and I am connecting a battery, positive and negative. Just consider it as a wire. Just this part is just taken as a bigger part. It is only a wire part. I am just taking as a focus part. We just consider as a high magnified wire. In that case also you can see this is a positive terminal and this is a negative terminal. Okay, now in negative terminal, now the electrons are in the atoms, free electrons are there. Now these free electrons will be jumping out from the orbits and it is coming out from one orbit to the another orbit, one orbit to another orbit, and that's why these electrons will be attracted towards the positive terminal. This electron will be attracted towards the positive terminal and there is a flow of current. But in this case you have to consider that there is a flow of electron from negative to positive. The flow of current is from negative to positive, but it is actual flow of electron from negative to positive. But from the analog we can see that there is no flow of something from low potential to high potential. It is always flow of high potential to low potential. So we will consider the electronic current, this flow of electrons called as electronic current. The electronic current, the flow of electron will be opposite to the flow of current. Just consider it as an electronic flow, and we will consider the flow of current is from positive to negative. For our convenience, we are considering the flow of current is from positive to negative, but actual flow of electron is from negative to positive. That is called as electronic current, and the current which is flowing from positive terminal to negative terminal, it is called as conventional current. It is called as conventional. It is called as conventional current. Okay. Now we are creating a potential difference between one point to the another point. Here we are creating a positive terminal, high potential difference. Now here we are creating a low potential difference, due to which the electron can flow from the one part to the another part. Okay. So we are applying a potential difference, means we are applying a force in which there is the displacement of electron from atoms to the another atom. So we are doing some work. Okay, so how can we define the potential difference? The potential difference can be defined by using the work done. How can we define the work done to move a 1 coulomb of charges? The potential difference is the work done to carry a 1 coulomb of charges from one point to the another point. So how can we define when work done to move 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point is called as potential difference. Okay, so how can we write potential difference? Work done to move 1 coulomb of charge. So work done by charge. Work done to move a 1 coulomb of charge from one point to the another point. So we can write W by Q. So the SI unit of the work is joule and the SI unit of the charge is coulomb. So how can we write? We can write as joule per coulomb. The SI unit of the potential difference is joule per coulomb. Okay. Now it is a capital C. You can write small c is a capital C. The another SI unit of the potential difference is volt. It is also called as 1 volt. For the honor of the scientist Alexandra Volta, we are considering as the SI unit of the potential difference as volt. So how can we define a 1 volt? 1 volt will be written as 1 volt is equal to 1 coulomb, 1 joule of by 1 coulomb. So how can we define 1 volt? When 1 joule of work is done to move 1 coulomb of charge from one point to the another point, that is called as 1 volt. Okay, define when 1 joule of work is done to move a 1 coulomb of charge from one point to the another point, that is called as potential difference. Okay, here is about the electric potential and potential difference. Potential difference means we are creating a difference. Potential difference, we are applying a high potential and low potential to a wire by using a battery. In battery, due to the electrodes, some chemical processes are occurring, and due to a chemical reaction, it creates a one side create a positive terminal and it creates a negative terminal, and there is a flow of electron from negative to positive, that is called as electronic current, and the flow, for the convenience, we are considering as the flow of current is from positive to negative, and that is called as conventional current. And the definition of the potential difference as work done to move 1 coulomb of charge from one point to the another point is called as potential difference, and its SI unit is joule per coulomb and another unit is volt, and it is defined as when 1 joule of work is done to move 1 coulomb of charge from one point to the another point. This is about the electric potential and potential difference. Now we will see about what is Ohm's law. see what is Ohm's law. The statement of Ohm's law is, we can see that the statement of Ohm is that voltage applied is directly proportional to the current flowing through the circuit. Means voltage applied is directly proportional to the current flowing through the circuit is the Ohm's law. We can also compare with the same water analogy by using the tank. You can see if you are taking one tank here and one tank here, is connected with another tank. Now the potential means the height difference is height sum and height difference. Now in the second case, the height difference is maximum. The height difference will be maximum. Now in this case, in the first scenario and in second scenario, the flow of water will be more in the case of second, because there is the high potential or maximum height difference is there. That's why there will be the flow of current will be, flow of water will be maximum. The same situation is explained in the Ohm's law. When the potential difference is maximum, the current flowing through the circuit will also be maximum. Okay, so what is the statement? The potential difference applied in the circuit is directly proportional to the current flowing through the circuit. Okay, now it is a proportional constant. To remove this, we have to introduce some constant. So V is equal to I R. Now R here is called as the constant, and it is also called as resistance. It is called as resistance. It is also called as resistance. Okay, it also having some separate properties. We will see about the resistance. Before that, we can also find means how the resistance and current is related. You can see that V is equal to IR. So what is the value of resistance? V is equal to I. Means R is inversely proportional to the current. It is inversely proportional to the current. Means as resistance increases, the current flow of current decreases. Means they are inversely proportional. So resistance means it offers the opposition to the flow of current from one point to the another point. This is the Ohm's law. What is the voltage applied, potential difference applied is directly proportional to the flow of current. And before removing, after removing the proportional constant, we are introducing the resistance R, and R is inversely proportional to the current, and the SI unit of the resistance, is Ohm. The SI unit of the resistance is Ohm. Now in this case, why we are using the resistance in any circuit? We are using the resistance in any circuit because now we can consider that most of the electronic circuits we are using in our household purpose, it is having some different voltage. In our house, we are receiving the voltage of 230 volt and the frequency of 50 Hz. It's our India's fixed voltage. For the household voltage, we are receiving 230 voltage and the frequency of 50 Hz. Okay, now all the equipments present in our home will not be required 230 volt. You can take examples of the small equipment like the mobiles, laptops, and some other small devices which requires a less voltage than the 230 voltage. Now in this case, the resistance is applied, in which the current will be reduced and it will be supplied to the mobiles and laptops by using the charges. The charges in which some resistance are present, which reduces the 230 voltage to the required voltage of mobiles and laptop, so that it can be function properly. This is the work of the resistance, which reduces the flow of current. It does opposing the current, but it doesn't reduce the current. Means it just opposes the flow of current and it reduces the direct flow of current. That is the exact work of the resistance. This resistance not only depending upon the voltage and current, it will depend upon also some other factors also. Okay, now Here this is the Ohm's law and these are its all factors. Okay, means maximum the voltage difference, maximum will be the current. As maximum the current, as the maximum the resistance, less will be the current. It is inversely proportional to each other. It is inversely proportional to each other. Now we will see how the resistance are affecting the or on which factor the resistance is depending upon. Okay, we will see factors of the resistance. What are the factors which is affecting the resistance? Let's see factors affecting the resistance. So first we'll see what is factor affecting the resistance. First part is length. First part is length. We can see that if I am taking a small wire and I am taking a length having one first and in second case, as the length increases, number of atoms increases, number of atom increases, the collision, the electrons will be colliding with each other, the collision will be increasing and the flow of current also decreases. So as the length of the wire or conductor increases, the resistance also increases. So what we can write, resistance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. Resistance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. Now in the second case we will take it as a area of cross section. It's called as area of cross section. Area of cross section. In this case we will just consider it as a wire and another wire is having the cross section. First case and in second case. In first case the electron will having the less area to come out of the this cross section. It will having the number of electrons coming out of the cross section will be less because there is the area of cross section is less. Okay, so as the cross section increases, the resistance will be decreasing. So what we can write, resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. Resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. So combining this both the conditions, we can write it as resistance is directly proportional to the length and inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. In next case, if you are removing the proportionality constant, you can write R is equal to rho L by A. Rho L by A. Now in this case, rho is the constant which is called as resistivity. It is called as resistivity. And we can find the value of resistivity. R is equal to rho is equal to R A by L. What will be the resistance having the ohm, area having the meter square and length having the meter, so its SI will be ohm meter. The SI unit of the resistivity will be ohm meter. Each material or each metal will have the specific resistivity. Now the difference between the resistance and resistivity is that resistivity is the property of the material which defines the resistance. Because you can see that as the number of atoms increases, the striking collision, the electrons, the free electrons coming out of the valence shell will be increasing and the electrons will be striking each other. So as the number of atoms increases, the flow of charges also sometimes decreases. So the resistivity will be the property of the material. Resistivity will be the property of the material which defines how much resistance we are going to apply. And the resistance in which we can measure how much amount of resistance we are giving. So resistance and resistivity are just the small differences there. You can see, I will consider you an example of the resistance and resistivity. You can take a copper wire. Just take a two copper wire of a different length. If you have taken copper wire or different length, you can take first case and second case. In first case, resistivity will be same, and in second case also resistivity will be same. You can see that because the material is made up of same. First is also made up of copper and second is also made up of copper, so that it is having the same resistivity. But in first case, the resistivity in both the cases is same, but in first case resistance will be less. Resistance will be less, and in the case of second copper wire, the resistance will be more. The resistance will be more. You can see that as the length increases, resistance increases. As the length decreases, resistance decreases. This is the difference between resistivity and resistance. Resistivity means it is the property of the material. It is the property of the material. It is the property of the material. Property of the material is the resistivity which can define how much resistance can be applied. But if the material is same, resistivity will be same. But as the length or area of cross section decreases or increases, and according to that, resistance also increase or decrease with respect to that. It is the difference between resistance and resistivity. Here we can also find by using any resistivity of the material by using this formula, and you can also find the value of resistance by using this formula also. So what are the factors which the resistance are affecting? It is length and area of cross section. As the length increases, resistance also increases. As the area of cross section increases, resistance decreases, and as the area of cross section increases, resistance increases. Okay, they are inversely proportional. If one is increasing, other will be decreasing. That's called as inversely proportional. And in this case, if you are removing the proportionality, we can see that when constant is introduced, resistivity grow. We can see that we are introducing a constant resistivity, which resistance, from this we can find the value of resistance. It's SR into this ohm meter. We are derived from ohm meter from resistance, area and length. SR is ohm, meter square and meter. So we get the resistivity SR as ohm meter, and we can define resistivity as a property of the material. From this we can get the difference. If the material is same, the resistivity will be same. But as the length or area of cross section decreases, resistance increase or decreases. Okay, clear? So